feeling good. I promise, for people who sit through this, if you're joining us live or here, I hope this will be the most valuable thing I've shared in the course so far, from my point of view, and hopefully at least something I've said has been valuable up to this point. And by valuable, I actually mean that I think if you listen to everything I say and did a lot of it, that you would make a lot more money next year, this coming year, than you did last year. So here we go. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it really, or I'm going to try and explain this stuff by explaining a few first principles which should be very easy to apply, as opposed to trying to describe and explain like a bunch of complicated steps. Okay? So the first one actually is, who's kind of feeling good after our morning, working out in the garden, doing stuff, kind of being like, you know, like, feel like beating your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's because we observed the first principle in permaculture design of observe and interact. Okay? So you guys are trying to learn how to design stuff, so the best way to do that is actually do stuff, right? Because your brain will naturally start thinking of easier ways to do it, right? And so if you think that was just us getting some free labor out of you, it wasn't, but it was.
Entirely.
It wasn't. There's more to it. It's like an onion. It's layered. So it was that, and it was us showing you that every idea you have generates work, and as you do the work, you form new synapses, and you automatically start thinking, how could I make this easier? And basically that is design, right? So on a very rustic level, if you're still struggling with your maps, don't worry, you can just be a great designer by doing a lot of this stuff and then trying to think of easier, more efficient ways of doing it and better flows for doing it, right? Okay. Matthew McConaughey. What about that guy? So that was like me being like, it just felt good when I did it the other day. Like, get in touch with your inner Matthew McConaughey. And I was like, why is that? I was like, yeah, there's an idea there. It's like, okay, so I sort of like, people tell me I look like this guy, which is like fucking sweet. Great guy. Like, I'm not gonna be like, how dare you? But over the years, I've come to actually admire the guy himself more and more. And then when I did this, had this whole aha moment through working with my brother, well-known actor and founder of Candlelit Tales, famous storyteller. What he helped me to do was to connect with the archetype that represented essentially the story that I myself was trying to live. And lo and behold, it was the story of Lula Fada, who knew how to ask the right questions, and through asking the right questions became a very ultimately useful person in the world. And he was also a sun deity, so he was, you know, made of sunlight, which for years has been one of my main things, and I'm trying to get people to understand that we're all made of sunlight, and if we just try to capture more of it, i.e. cause more photosynthesis on our land, that the world would just get better just by doing that. So that helped me, and it helped me hugely to create my brand and to give me something to aim for, and to also increase my levels of self-awareness. That is what choosing your archetype and giving yourself something to aim for mean, right? So, as I said, it's not me thinking I'm a sun god. It's thinking that there's an ideal version that I should be like striving to be like. I certainly don't always manage it, but that's the thing. And so that is principle number 2. Find your archetype. This is really a talk on business, right? The generative business models. But and we're telling it through these few kind of fundamental principles. The second of them is really that. It's like, find your archetype, know yourself. Build your business around your real strengths and your real gifts. Okay? So that's all contained in the archetype and also in what you stand for. So while we're on that topic, I give the microphone holder over to the storyteller himself.
Cheers, Neil. So we've been playing with games to elicit and evoke story. And gradually, as Neil was talking about, you kind of can learn all the theory, you can talk about story types, semiotics, deeper meaning, until you get blue in the face, but then you miss out on the practice of telling them. And who in the room is more confident telling stories after this morning? Look at all their hands! Everyone's a lot more confident because we just messed around, played a little bit, and it was fun. And you know, it's fun. Stories are fun. Stories are fundamental to when you're trying to start a business. And if you look at restorative business, whoops, wrong mic. Wrong mic. I got the mic. So if you look at the restorative business model, there's a story that goes with that. It's a story that should evoke a drastic re-education for people and an understanding that we're viewing the world through simple stories that are destructive and not actually worth investing in, maybe just changing our outlook on perspective of stories. Just like the farm way, not this farm, but other farming industries are created and maintained as a business. They take from the soil and they leave nothing but dust and ash bowls left. And there's no nothing in the soil, so they have to go back and toil it with more chemicals, and it ultimately leads to not very healthy soil. And what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is a story of a farm like this place, but a story like many farms in the world, which are toiling to create more abundance, which is using systems to enhance and enrich. You're bringing worth and wealth and abundance and prosperity onto a piece of land that was not that prosperous before, and giving out all of what has been rebirthed from that piece of land, be it actual fruit or vegetables or space for people to connect and create, co-create, heal, generate creativity and inspiration and feelings and emotions, and educate through story. These are all aspects of a regenerative business, believe it or not. It's the story of how a cycle can be more regenerative versus destructive. Putting something in order for it to be uplifted and upcycled and woven back in maybe even more than it was before, opposed to putting in and taking out and leave nothing behind and having to replace. It's a simple story, but we grew up with that replace. Put that in the bin, go over there now, go to the shop, fill up the fridge. It's simple stories. We grew up with it. It makes perfect sense to be completely dislocated from your food source in order for you to constantly consume. And then you continue that story. So with that little introduction as to my understanding of what regenerative business models are, I'll pass it back over to my wonderful brother. He's going to take it away and explain a little bit more of his own perspective and story. Yep.
Right, well, okay, so do people remember our first two principles? Because we're going to get to the third one, and it's kind of the one that hopefully ties all this stuff together and really gives people like actionable first steps, right? So our first thing is like observe and interact. Actually do stuff, especially stuff that is directed at your goals, to have an archetype and something that you're really aiming at. So, and then basically take steps towards your archetype or towards living the story that is your life. Take steps towards that every day and like learn as you go, but keep be conscious of where you're headed. The next thing we really want to talk about is money. So why the hell does a permaculture guy want to talk about money? Money is the root of all evil. It's capitalism versus the planet, all those things, right? Wrong. Wrong. It's not that. I used to think that. I was wrong. So actually, this is a crucial thing. Maslow understood this, right? Like, if you want to be really happy as a person, you need to have safety and security which really just means money, right? And then you need to be kind of like psychologically healthy. Then you need to have a good series of relationships in your life, and then the lucky few get to have purpose in their life, that to actually do something that they care about. And his idea was like these get stacked on top of each other. A lot of people nowadays kind of sort of like, because we have the privilege of doing it, we sort of go straight for purpose. We don't really worry about like cheating ourselves. But what I'm actually in favor of is people trying to solve kind of all of them like together. Like, so i.e. not first trying to make money and then be like, ooh, when I have enough money and I can like afford my house, then I'll get a piece of land and then I'll start growing some food. But like, this is like, it's like a 30-year plan, and then eventually I'll write my book or do something that I actually care about. What I'm much more in favor of people doing is actually just going like, okay, this is a multifaceted problem, but if I try to solve it all at the same time, I'm much more likely to end up in a happy place, as opposed to being someone who has money but hates what they do and hates everyone that they spend all their time with, for example, right? So, and that's a kind of a permaculture approach, right? Like, solve diverse problems at the same time, right? Plant a tree, it grows food and makes the planet cooler. And like stops the water flowing down the hill, etc., etc. Stack function. So this stuff is well within our abilities, but just the way we're taught to do it is so stupid. And one of the reasons that it's so stupid, and this is why I'm hammering first principles, is that we live in a very interesting society where lots of people know how to do and obsess about complex procedures, while simultaneously misunderstanding the very basic first principles behind what they're doing, right? So engineers know how to make like great big dam walls, like, and generate gazillions of watts of electricity by damming up a river, sending water like way down, not having the whole thing fall over. That's extremely difficult, but they don't understand the basic first principle of what they're doing to the river and the watershed as they do that. And so often the dam gets blamed as being the problem, when in actual fact it's just the ignorance around ecological first principles that cause all the problems, right? And we see tons of examples of this, right? Cities, like, they're not the problem, it's the way they're designed is the problem, right? But what we see actually is the same thing is true in the business world, right? Which kind of makes sense, because if the entire point of the education system is to get a workforce so that like the people who own all the assets and the factories and all the other stuff have people working for them, then it sort of makes sense not to teach people first principles around business, such as like trading your time for money and like letting your expenses creep up with your time trade is like, it's like a horrible idea. No wealthy people ever do that, ever, when they're starting out. It's not what they do, right? So those kinds of things, right? Like understanding how inflation works and how like essentially like becoming an owner of assets is sort of something we want to go for. Spotting arbitrage in the market is another like really kind of basic thing that people are not understanding, especially when it comes to like regenerative sphere, right? So it's like there's all this like woefully underestimated land, right? And through kind of regenerative design, done so with a good plan, the value of it will like increase. It almost has to exponentially over the next 30 or 40 years, right? And that's why Bill Gates is like busy buying up all the farmland. That's why like the people who predicted 2008 financial crash are just buying land with water on it, right? Like, and I don't want them to buy all the land. I want some other people who are actually going to do something fucking useful instead of being like, you know, no water. Like, but they're going to buy a lot of it. So like, get some and understand that what you're going to do with it by doing permaculture is, and here comes another like really important thing to understand, you will be doing wealth defense, not wealth accumulation. So don't do what I tried to do. Buy a piece of land and earn a living from it immediately. You'll never be able to do that. What I eventually figured out as we tried to do that was that like, oh, getting a positive cash flow going on the land is a great way to be able to pay for labor, and it's a great way to like successively make the land better and therefore increase the value of it. But don't try to make money from it. Then, and if you want to be able to do that, if you want to be able to buy a piece of land and start making it better, then you need to be able to trade some of your time for a decent amount of money and not have a load of insane living costs, like, to allow you to earn the money. It's like, stay away, like, well, I earn $5,000 a month, but like, it costs like $20 to take a shit, so it's like kind of expensive, you know, like, it's like, don't do that, or like that, like, whatever. How much you spend on rent and cars and all that shit, like, get that tipped in your favor, get land, and then, or take a piece of land that you already own and start putting some of that money into it while you live on it, and that will allow you to, first principle, interact and observe and interact, right, and learn. So, okay, so then how does one, because so there's this idea that like you shouldn't trade your time for money, like that's bullshit. Like you're going to be trading your time for money, you just want to be doing so like in an intelligent way. So that doesn't always mean you get paid loads per hour for what you do, but you generate residuals at the very least in terms of what you do. That's kind of like, that's what happens in permaculture as well, right? It's like, you guys saw it today and we're like chopping back in the garden and we have all this mulch that's just accumulated from all these trees that we keep pruning, right? Like, think of your business, your regenerative business in the same way, right? Like, whether it's like building a brand, you know, starting a podcast, starting a community, those are good things that you can start doing. But, and this is the kind of like landing point of this, if you have truly established like an architect, i.e. like really gotten to know yourself, where your strengths lie, what you're aiming for, what your purpose is, why you get out of bed in the morning, and you combine that with obsessively thinking about your clients, what they're suffering with, and the different problems that they are dealing with, and how you can solve those problems in a very transformative way, you will slowly walk towards coming up with something that feels like play to you, but is tremendously valuable to a specific group of people. And this is how you do it. And then slowly, as you do this work that builds in itself, as you build up whatever it is you're building up, educational materials, talks, manuals, books, you can increasingly add value to what you do, right? For example, our design service. We give people a recording of the Permaculture Design Course, all the steps to be able to map out and design their own piece of land, and then that allows us to intervene in a very efficient way with them, right? And this is what we're aiming for. So, okay, we're back to the point of like, how the hell do you solve all the thing on Maslow's hierarchy of needs all at the same time? It seems like a kind of an ambitious thing to do. Well, you go back to this very fundamental principle. So if you want to do well in business, you need a good product, right? Which does what I said, it solves a real problem. And you need to be supplying to a growing market. Okay, so you know an incredibly fast growing market. Everything that has to do with the fact that the world is going to end, right? Everything has to do with a positive solution to the fact that if we don't do something, we're all going to die. Right?
Right there.
So, most people in business, if you talk to most business coaches, they'll tell you need 3 things. People who work in permaculture only need 2 things. The 3 things most people are going to tell you they need is a really good offer, a solid system for attracting leads, i.e. potential customers, to that offer, and the third one, being good at sales, right? That's the third one. That's why most business coaches spend a lot of time training people to navigate sales process. In permaculture, we don't really have to do that because there is a bleeding neck. It's the fact that we're all going to die if we don't do this, and there's an acute awareness around that, right? Especially amongst landowners, business owners. So all you really need are the first 2 things. A very good product within this industry, a very good product or service within this industry, and an efficient way of letting people know that your product or service exists, right? You may need a third component, which is where this community comes in, which is confidence and experience in doing your chosen vocation, right? But it's really something that we want people to be successful with, and it's why we're creating this community, right? So if you're watching this live, if you're at this course, if you watch a recording of this, you're being invited to join this community. What is it? It will be a collective of people who care about the world and want to help people to do something about it. Okay? And we're really, speaking for myself, passionate about helping people to turn this crisis into an opportunity to build businesses and to actually get out of courses like this and start doing it, right? And we're just going to be trying to provide value. So one of the first things I'm going to do is all the co-facilitators in this course, I'm going to be having you guys one by one on our new podcast, where we're just going to be talking about actual real designs and problems and things that we're working on, and we try to help each other sort them out. And I'm almost certain that in that process, real kind of nuggets of wisdom are going to be provided. We're also going to start doing masterclasses, which will actually just be live Q&A sessions, right? That I'll always be attending, and then inviting other people to attend, so people who have projects can be like, what do you think I should do about that? We're doing something interesting as well, which hopefully is going to be a fantastic learning opportunity for you people who are here, and hopefully really does a great job of summarizing some of the key learnings in this course. This is a permaculture storytelling course. Why should someone get good at storytelling if they want to launch a permaculture regenerative business? Because basically they'll get better at finding their archetype, they'll get better at listening, but really they'll get better at telling their story online and generating leads, right? So the challenge and the competition that we're creating for you guys is create a visual story with some of your key learnings from this course and share them with the world, because we don't just want to train in these events and courses and programs that we're doing. We don't just want to train permaculture designers and project managers. We want to train permaculture teachers and people who can lead and run events. So i.e. people who can get a bunch of people who want to learn permaculture together in one space, teach them a lot of stuff, provide a lot of value, and kick ass on someone's land the same way all you were kicking ass on my land here. You know what that does? It solves a very real problem that millions of hectares worth of landowners have, which is A, they don't have a design for their land, B, even if they did, they wouldn't have the labour force or the resources to do it. So you solve both those problems, and that's one of the things we really want. And guess what? To be able to do that well, to be able to really provide value, teach this stuff properly, you know what you need to be really good at? Storytelling. Storytelling. Oh. 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 Okay, I'll stop. So, I'm not quite finished. So the winner of that competition is going to get a year-long scholarship to our Permaculture Design Incubators program. Right. So those podcasts I talked about, you get to go to them live. You get guided through the full design of your own place, be it your first portfolio piece, be it a project that you're managing from someone else, be it your own farm, and as much business coaching and mentorship as you can receive to help you actually get the project or the career set up, launched. It includes how to identify your archetype, how to get better at storytelling, lead generation, authentic brand building, the whole lot. So that prize is available to whoever comes up with the best micro lesson story, which is helping all the people watching live, because you're going to get flooded with all these stories, so we want to put them all out. Yeah, and you can do as many entries as you want. The more cool shit that you've already learned. Gabo's here to help people. He has a lot of B-roll to show you how to curate those pro editor tips. And that's it. And I guess I'm gonna give the floor over now to Aaron, Lindsay. Who wants to talk next?
Looks like he's late.
So I want to hand over to Lindsay because her amazing regenerative business is something we can talk. She'll just talk about it and she'll show me some of her plans, and it's amazing. So this idea is like, it's starting with story, and it's always really interesting to see how, as soon as you add any bit of nutrients into some little culture, how it grows. And it's just those adding in a little bit of sugar into something that's just percolating and creating the next stage. Sometimes it can be a bit daunting when we go, okay, like, how do you solve all of the world's problems immediately with all of this stuff? And Neil does have a great point, because the regenerative business he's now found in conversation with him over the years is that light bulb moment of, oh, it's Lou. It's so specifically Lou Godfather. He is that character who's bringing people together, asking them as many questions as he can, sharing his skills as much as he can, and bringing people to a way to do that again and have a bigger ripple effect. And so finding your offering, it can be a humble story. It can be a very humble beginning. It's something that you feel and you resonate with. And I know one of you is related to Goddess Bridget in here, you know? And like, there's ample stories there to pull from and be inspired by. And when I hear people say, I can't think of a story, there's not enough nutrients in the soil. There's not enough in there. You haven't been listening to enough stories or playing enough games. Your compost is dry and sandy. You need to put in some microbiomes to get it percolating.
You need to carry some rocks.
That too. And so we're just hoping to untangle some old patterns of thought, lead you towards something that could really be profound. It can also lower the standard and go, it doesn't have to. It can just be nice. You know, it doesn't have to be life-changing yet. But like that mycelial layer, it can lay dormant and sprout. God knows when. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Lindsay, who's going to tie in some of her stories and wait till she looks at the world. Hope you guys are all enjoying it. You know that one.
Double mics.
Double mics. So I love the perspective that they've set the groundwork for you in terms of who am I and why am I here, and having the work that you're doing in the world be something that you're passionate about and not trading your time for dollars. Because we all know what that feels like, right? When we're not doing something that we're aligned with. And what they just said applies to any business that you want to do. So it can apply to your lifestyle, right? Choosing these archetypes, moving with them as you change. This is something that's an ever-evolving part of what you're going to be doing in the world, regardless of the occupation that you choose. So something that I wanted to bring here is when I finished my PDC, I was like, this is so much, there's too much, and I can't be good at all of it. How am I going to be, you know, the professional in the soil and all of these things? And I thought, well, this is more of an ecosystem type organization. And I joined an organization, and I'm not saying that you have to, but to think about, you know, definitely, what am I passionate in out of what all we've learned? We've had so many different topics, right? So narrow yourself down into one, maybe just to start, so that you're not feeling that overwhelm of feeling like you have to be perfect in everything. So I created an ecosystem of partners around me. So I chose the vein that I wanted to follow, and then I looked for people that would be supplying materials in that specific aspect. So say it's water. I joined the Bow River Basin Council, which is, you know, my local watershed. I met a whole bunch of other people that were doing work with water. I found out where the rainwater capture supply people were. I found out where to get the rain barrels. So I just took all these little aspects of one particular subject, and I just started networking. That was a really nice way to start creating partnerships with people in other countries, to expose myself as a permaculturalist, showing up, hey, I'm here to offer this. And that's what I'm here to offer today in this part of the Regenerative Businesses talk, is there's so many ways you can take permaculture. And I'm just going to give you a glimpse into just a few of the things that I've done in the past 4 or 5 years with permaculture alone. So I made partners, and I created an affiliate program for my company so that I could train other people how to do sales for my company while learning permaculture and earning an income for themselves. So we specialize in doing designs, digitally rendered designs. So somebody could go out and they could sell one of my designs and they could earn 15% of that income. So then suddenly I have these people that are passionate about wanting to learn more about permaculture, and I'm happy to educate them. Right? They're going to be learning about my products, they're going to be sharing it with their neighborhoods, and spreading the word because they're passionate about it. So that's one way you can go about it. There's all sorts of like apps, GoAppPro, and all these things that you can get into. And then I went to the health and wellness field because I am a yoga instructor, health and fitness person for the past 15 years. So I had a lot of people that I was already connected to in the health and wellness field. And then I had people that had spas reach out to me that knew that I had this change in career and said, you know, how can I bring this permaculture thing to my spa? So I would start talking about little medicine gardens and ways that they could take one aspect of permaculture. So I'm not always doing a holistic system design. I'm working with the way I want to work with the person in front of me. Maybe just with a small aspect of design. Here's a tea garden for your Chinese medicine garden. So taking it into bite-sized chunks was a really nice thing. And then we go all the way huge to agrivoltaic projects. Massive solar farms, thousands of them, you know, for kilometers. There's all sorts of funding there that they need to, you know, meet certain requirements to not look so ugly for everybody else, right? And there's ways that we can do that benefit the ecosystem by adding polycultures, flowers, plantings for the bees, maybe make a tree farm, make money for the solar farm owner. Maybe we're replacing trees or planting a variety of trees instead of like the one single tree that they were allowed to plant. So creating designs for a solar farm. So as you can see, these ideas are very, very different from each one as we go. Water treatment plants. Right, people are starting to get very aware about permaculture. The regenerative word is kind of like a hot word right now. So people are looking for, how can I make myself look better through these practices, which can benefit everybody, right? The water treatment plants, they have all these archaic ways of managing water. Well, we looked at water projects down here and what they need to do to make their watersheds healthy. So if water's your passion, maybe you just jump into riparian planting. Maybe you specialize in just that one thing. And then to get your word out, once you have your brand and you have your business, and you're trying to make more connections, go to like the nurseries. Because think about once you have a design or you're working with somebody, you're going to want to be able to procure those plants. And that can be one of the trickiest things as a designer, is finding the plants, right? Knowing the right choice to put into your design. So make friends with your nurseries, make friends with the tree farms, all the suppliers of all the things that are in your design. Know who they are and know if you want to work with them or not. Because when we start to create partnerships with people, we want to make sure that we have like an ethical and integral relationship that we value and respect, so that we're spreading that kind of energy in the world. So thinking about combining our forces too with other modalities. So artists is a great one. Did a mural project with a friend at a rain garden that was community driven, paid for by the city. She was a muralist, I'm a permaculturalist. We brought in a speaker about native plants. He taught a class, we painted a mural, I did education on permaculture. So it was a nice way to blend all of our talents. It was a month-long project. We had a lot of people come in. We fed them, they all took part in doing the mural. It's all about native plants, it was really beautiful. So think about like bridging with other modalities that you might want to work with. Like this fantastic artist over here. Right, amazing work. So I just want to encourage you just to get your head outside the box in terms of like, how do I go out from here? How do I apply this business after this? But there's a huge range of potential for permaculture out there. And creating a niche for yourself is a very, very easy thing to do right now, and it's very easy to stand out from other people. If you do that thing that Neil and Aaron are talking about, you just follow your passion, do what you enjoy, follow your heart, and work with the people that you love. That's all I have to say about that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsay. So I'm very excited. I was very excited coming over here to visit my brother and spend his time with family and what I knew would just be an interesting group of people. Because permaculture and storytelling draws interesting people together. And they're my type of people. So if you're interested in watching and like seeing how this culture is gonna grow, I am, because like a few years ago, my last trip here, I was really badly injured. And it wasn't until I got home that I realized how badly off I was for quite a long time. Lost my agent, lost my way of acting, lost that whole passion, spark in life, and was just like really not at a great place until I got to India for a while and was like, oh yeah, I need to find an active service. Yeah, how do you do that again? What is that? Teaching yoga? Yeah, teaching in some ways and offering something, but then I was like, oh yeah, I run a storytelling company. I'm excited by stories. I've always been excited by stories. Go back to the archetype that we based it on, Bridget. She's about healing, she's about recovery, she's about coming through the fire and finding your purpose, and Imbus and that creative flow and flair. And she brews beers, so you know she's fucking good crack. And she's about harnessing that fire to create from it. And so whenever I was stuck, I was like, okay, what am I doing? What am I putting out of the world? There's stories. Are they harnessing my energetic flow? Yeah, kind of. What really excites me is teaching people how to tell stories, giving them that spark. Because it's a spark. It's like secrets unlock in your brain. If you're not used to performing, you're not used to engaging in your highest self on adrenaline, fueled by all of the neurochemistry that's going on to keep you aligned on the story and the performance. And if you are used to performing or singing songs, you know how addictive it is. It's nice because you're doing something that's connected. And oftentimes you're connected to source or flow and just letting go. But it also opens up pockets and answers that you might not have thought about. You make connections when your brain is firing in a performance state. My opinion, it makes things click. And that aha moment, doing yoga or hiking a mountain, or for me, oftentimes telling a story about my own life, I'll realize if I have deep connections to the story I'm either listening to or telling. And they have helped me massively. The myths in Irish mythology have hugely helped me go through grief and pain and come back again and find the spark in the play and the fun. And so it's a really great life hack. You teach people to stretch and move, plant stuff, eat organically, and just play with stories, because you learn so much from stories. That was just all I had from when I go back to Bridget. Oh yeah, these stories make so much sense. So I'm excited to join Neil's Container because I love teaching people to tell stories. In permaculture, that business coach might tell you two things. You know, you're after generate leads, but you might know that thing they have for service, or you're finding whatever that is. But if you do, trust me, being a better storyteller will help you tell people about it. Will also help you formulate what that is, because you get better at making it better as the story develops. And suddenly magic happens when you create community and collaborate with people, and you hear a different rhythm to something that you didn't think of for creativity. And that's what this community hopefully will be. And is, I've been on a few of the calls, and it's exciting to see people in the other part of the world trying to make the world better. Yes, it's good to see that when it's grey and cold outside and you can't go because it's raining sideways, you know. It's enough in Ireland, but anyway, thank you so much. Neil, do you want to wrap up? Any final thoughts before we end this live thingamajig?
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. That was great. Look, this is an emergent thing. We trusted that if we brought everyone together for these couple of weeks, that something new would emerge, and it is emerging. You know, I just want to reiterate that point that really this community is all about giving. And what we want are people who come into it who take that reciprocity and sort of help to multiply it. I'm just in the short term really excited to see what micro lessons people come out with. I want to hear what's sticking for people, and I want to see them practice and integrate that. Really excited also to see people's designs and to learn how we can improve as a collective of helping people to find these designs. That's what we most are looking to do with people, help them to see the story of what it is that they're creating, to listen to the land in the right way, to leverage the kind of pretty amazing technological stack that we've created around mapping, site analysis, and graphic design to be able to get these designs done and move people forward into creating the business models, making decisions to do this really, really valuable work that we need. And look, I'll just share my final vision, my final story is, and again, it's the value of storytelling. I tell myself this story every night. I see myself and I feel myself living and working the land with my children. I've realized now for a long time that the only way to really have a permaculture farm is to have a community.
Child labour.
And child labour. So have lots of kids.
Thank you.
And all the information cards.
This actually was a sneaky advertisement for pro-life.
We just lost. We just.
Oh shit! Shit. The only way really to access the abundance of Mother Nature is through lots of people doing it. This works, this style of farming, syntropic farming, the deep composting chicken houses, the chop and drop, the hugelkultur, man, it works. It builds soil, gardens will get better every year, people will be healthier. But until they invent robots to do it for us, we got to do it ourselves, and we should do it ourselves. It's good for us, but trying to do it all the time on your own sucks. So what we're trying to create here really is a community where people can do what I'm trying to do, mostly hang out with my friends and my kids, work remotely using Starlink, have a sweet life, but be able to somewhat homeschool my kids, have them grow up seeing permaculture as just like common sense. And in a sense, bring back the village, you know, and so that's our, I would say, wider vision, and it's then connected with that is the idea of helping more people to be able to create more villages. So if any of that sounds appealing, just follow the channel, just join the channel. We got a bunch of free resources already on our website, and we're going to be creating more. We're going to create a whole sort of shortened sequence of this course with kind of whiteboard animations. We're going to put out those podcasts. We're going to put out all kinds of stuff. So just follow and don't take yourself so goddamn seriously. It's going to be fine.
Be like.
I forgot to say that you're going to be live on YouTube daily.
Oh, I'm going to be live on YouTube every day. Maddie's going to follow me around with a camera. No, he's not. Gonna go to Costa Rica.
Hey, you've had 1,037 people watching.
Wow.
LANDSAY.
I think I was gonna get that wrong. LANDSAY.
Yeah, that's like, but that's more because it's like, we don't have to say that's my shine.
Oh,
It's
no,
my
we're
working
going
world.
to
It's actually more.
Yeah, you can take a picture. I don't know if you already took a picture, but.
Perfect.
I'll have the hand in there just
guys,
loosely.
Sorry,
That's
2
fine.
seconds. For anyone who's into it,
Yeah.
for anyone who wants to like join the competition, get with Gabo. Or actually, no, you're gonna do it here for everyone. Yeah, Gabo's gonna
Yeah,
like.
well, I'll
walk
actually
through the
just
basics.
get people that are open to doing their micro lesson. Just come join me in this table for like 10 minutes. I'll show you the super basics of which app to use for editing, how to create a basic like storyline, and then how to add B-roll and where to find it. So you can enter the competition and then be subsided for life by knowledge from Gran Hatiki.
You are joining the competition.
I'm